Thank you for having me here in beautiful Marrakesh. There were lovely souks that I got to visit yesterday and purchased a lot of things. Okay. So everyone here today, whether physically attending or joining online on Zoom, on Facebook, this youth symposium is passionate about classic cars in one way or another, and this is something that we need to celebrate and encourage. Our passion is also our mission to share and embrace, to seize and pass on, ensuring that preserving, protecting and promoting historic vehicles is just not a statement, but also a successful achievement. To begin with, I will refer to what we can do at an individual level and an institutional level in order for this to happen. If the scroll would work, everything would be great. Yeah? So individual level and institutional level. At an individual level, it is important to try and engage young people who have no access to this automotive world and seek to gain their interest and curiosity. For this, you need time and patience. Guidance can be offered through short rides at various events, and you can take this opportunity to provide valuable information. So bring your children, your grandchildren, and your friends' children to events with you and offer them long-lasting memories to help shape their value systems. At an institutional level, communication, awareness, and educational programs are essential. The rapid evolution of how youngsters communicate and interact, regardless of where they are from, has to be taken into account. This always connected new environment can be a channel for transmission, provided that we use it properly. Views of youngsters are not fully formed and could change considerably through educational programs that we ensure. Let us offer them knowledge and experiences that will shape their future and actions, and allow yourselves in also learning from them by being in tune with emerging trends. I, for instance, believe that Facebook is outdated when it comes to teenagers and young people. This new generation of social networkers are more and more drawn to Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok, at least for now. They were drawn to Facebook at the beginning, but things have for sure changed throughout time. They say their parents ruined it for them, and I tend to think they have a point, considering how many memes I've seen with parents posting embarrassing pictures of their children online. So the way forward it has to be in tune with these new trends and to include a bigger focus on educational programs and on partnerships with schools and high-quality training experiences. So what do statistics say, at least for where I'm coming from? Referring to people under 40 years old who are engaged in this world of historical vehicles, our statistics reveal that the numbers for the period taken into account, namely 2018-2022, include about 1,000 new members under 40, out of which approximately 800 are from the millennials generation, and 115 from Generation Z, and approximately 85 from the Generation Alpha. I believe that these last categories will increase significantly in a few years, given that most millennials now have children who fall into Generation Z and Generation Alpha categories, and who now come to the age when they have shaped their preferences and now express them accordingly. So I hope that this passion for historic vehicles will be one of them and that these numbers will grow. I will now share with you the stories of members from Retromobil Club Romania, stories that I found inspiring and heartening. Sabrina is 19 years old and she took her first trip in a Beetle when she was 4 weeks old. Her parents have been members of our club from the beginning and have inspired this passion in their children, taking them along, because Sabrina has a brother, for trips at various events, making them a part of the family of historic vehicles owners. So when she first got her driving license last year, she couldn't wait to take her father's Beetle for a ride. This family is a truly good example of how to pass on passion. I will just leave it on for a bit. Moving on to David. David is 21 years old and starting this year, he is the vice president of the American muscle car section of Retromobil, as he has always been quite drawn to American muscle cars, he says. I've recently went on a 3,000 kilometers trip to Greece last year during an organized event, and he also participated with his Corvette. I was impressed by his passion and knowledge, but most of all by the sense of belonging that one has when, no matter the age, gender, race, religion, and all the other differences among us, when it comes to this passion, everyone has a place. You can see him with his Dacia. You can see him with his great-grandmother, born in 1925, and on the second smallest street in Romania. Moving to Justin, he is 29 years old and his history is one of family heritage. He now owns 2 Dacias that previously belonged to his grandparents. His history, it is interesting in the way it evolved. He could have chosen to give away these cars and buy a new car, but the memories he had made him cherish them as heirlooms, and thus their stories still continue. So both cars belonged to his grandparents. One went through a process of restoration. Here's a photo of Justine with his grandparents, the paternal one and the maternal one. Going to Maya. Maya is 20 years old, and she is the daughter of a very passionate member of our club, who is also a co-owner in probably the best and the most important restoration shop in Romania. So her childhood was always linked to this world of historic vehicles. She too made the 3,000 kilometers trip to Greece last year in a Morgan and regards this experience as the first in many. Now the story of Paul, he is 38 years old, and 3 years ago he got his hands on the car that probably took him in most of his holidays during childhood. You can even see a photo of him when his mother brought him back from the hospital when he was born. The car had been sold 18 years prior, and he never hoped to ever see it again. But fate has a way of circling back and taking you by surprise, and an exceptional one in this case. The car went through a complete restoration that took 2 years, but the result was worth it. He looks scared in this picture, frightened even. And I have to add that in terms of costs, when it comes to bodywork, for instance, it doesn't matter if you're restoring a $10,000 car or just $100,000 cars. What do you think made Paul embark on such a costly adventure? I say that the memories he had of this car made it more precious to him than any other car, be it the exact model, year, and even color. So you see, I come back to the importance of memories and how they make us who we are today, and how they influence our decisions. Here, the car is completely restored. Now, the real challenge that we face. Coming to an end, I emphasize the importance of training programs that truly engage young people to take over skills of bodywork, paintwork, upholstery, etc. Skills so badly needed in order for this mission to go forward. And I believe yet again that these programs have to be in tune with these new generations. Young people don't want to spend months, years of training to become a panel beater, not in the classic sense of 6 to 8 hours day course, piles of papers gathered as proof of effective notes taken, hours spent just looking, not touching anything. They are action motivated and creative and want to be allowed to act accordingly. So should we trust these new generations that they will find their way around these challenges? Here's an example of a car that was restored in a period of 2.5 years, mostly with the guidance, and I will shock you now, mostly with the guidance of YouTube tutorials and manuals, the owner not having previous knowledge in the field of restoration, because I always come back to this restoration thing. Okay, so here's the process. A restoration process in which, yes, this owner embarked with only passion, courage, and internet research skills. And it was successfully completed through motivation. And also a strong community that helped support him with the pieces of advice or the promises that obstacles can be overcome when you put your mind to do so. So what do you think? Are memories that important? Do they shape our decisions today?